The hospital hallway buzzed with sterile quiet, the kind of silence that doesn't soothe, but suffocates. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead as Nurse Clare Monroe stood motionless, her scrub top soaked with crimson, her hands still trembling from the adrenaline that hadn't quite left her veins. The administrator's voice hit again, louder this time. "You violated military protocol. This isn't a battlefield, it's a hospital." But the battlefield had come to them. 45 minutes earlier, chaos had shattered the ER's rhythm. A black SUV skidded to the curb, hazard lights pulsing like a stuttering heartbeat. 4 men in tactical gear stormed out, cradling a bleeding soldier. Lieutenant Mason Reeds, Navy SEAL. He was barely conscious, holding his dog tags like a prayer. Doctors hesitated. Charts were missing. Authorization hadn't arrived. No one wanted to act without orders. But Claire didn't wait. She threw herself into motion, gloves on, vitals called, compression started. Her voice cut through the room like a scalpel. "He's dying. Do something or move out of my way." Defibrillator pads slapped his chest. She braced, shocked, counted. Again. And again. Until his heart caught fire and beat back. Breath returned. A pulse. Life. The room, finally, moved. But policy didn't care. 20 minutes later, they escorted her out like a criminal. Her badge stripped. Her name erased. And as the automatic doors hissed closed behind her, the only sound was the quiet drip of blood from her elbow, still soaked in the life she saved. The apartment was small. The kind of quiet place where old coffee lingers in the air and the world feels far away. Claire sat on the edge of her couch, the blood on her sleeves now stiff, dried like a stain she couldn't scrub away. Her hands trembled, not from regret, but from injustice. Then came the knock. 3 short taps. 1 long. She opened the door cautiously. Standing before her was the soldier she saved, Lieutenant Mason Reeds. Hair neatly combed, bruises fading, dress blues impeccable. But his eyes, they carried the weight of men buried, promises made, and a life narrowly missed. In his hands, he held a folded American flag. She gasped. "This was meant for my mother," he said softly. "For my funeral." He stepped forward, voice steady. "But because of you, I get to deliver it to someone who actually saved a soldier." Claire choked back tears, but the moment didn't end there. Behind Mason, 4 more Navy SEALs stood like sentinels, their uniforms crisp, their faces solemn. One stepped forward and handed her a sealed envelope. Inside, a letter stamped with the Pentagon seal. Nurse Clare Monroe acted in accordance with emergency battlefield medical protocol under executive directive. Her decision directly saved the life of Lieutenant Mason Reeds. Any disciplinary action taken against her is unjustified and should be reversed immediately. Admiral Jonathan Keene. For a moment, time stood still. Not vindication. Not applause. Just quiet dignity. The next morning, Claire walked through the hospital doors, not as an employee, but as something far more powerful. In her hands, the letter from the Pentagon. Folded against her chest, the flag she was never meant to receive. The administrator spotted her and turned pale. He stammered, stumbling toward her with weak excuses, shallow apologies. She didn't flinch. She handed him the letter, her eyes never leaving his. "You're cleared. You're reinstated," he managed. But Claire shook her head. "I'm not coming back." And she meant it. That night, leaked footage surfaced, Claire walking out of the hospital in blood-soaked scrubs, head high, dignity intact. It exploded online. Headline screamed, "Nurse fired for saving Navy SEAL." Veterans groups rallied. Nurses across the nation shared her story. Comments flooded in, gratitude, outrage, admiration. But the biggest call came from Washington. The Secretary of Veterans Affairs invited her to spearhead a new national program, training civilian trauma teams on how to respond in special ops emergencies. Clare accepted. Not for recognition, but because soldiers like Reed's deserved someone who wouldn't hesitate. Today, she doesn't walk hospital corridors. She walks stages, trains thousands, builds bridges between battlefield and ER. And Mason Reed's? He made sure every man in his unit knew her name. Not Nurse Clare. Not the one who got fired. The one who didn't flinch.